appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle. In our major story, President Goodluck Jonathan places designer of Nigeria's national flag on lifetime salary as special assistant to the president. Also in this program, police arrest 19 persons over the murder of former Ekiti NURTW boss Omolafe Aderiye. President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Ayo Shajafo, washes hands off seized $9.3 million in South Africa. And outside Nigeria, pro-Russian soldiers killed 7 Ukraine soldiers in deadliest post-truce attack. And now the details. 54 years after he designs the national flag, the federal government has finally honored Pa Taiwo Akikumi. He was one of the 313 persons recipients of the national awards handed out by President Goodluck Jonathan in commemoration of Nigeria's 54th independence anniversary. The president also directed that the 77-year-old man be placed on the salary of presidential aid for life. On this year's honor list are Nigeria's military leaders, senators, politicians, and other government functionaries. It also includes a taxi driver who returned 18 million naira he found in his cab to the rightful owner, and a presidential steward who had served Nigeria's leaders from Shehu Shagari to Goodluck Jonathan.
On the salary of special assistant to the president forever. They describe Mr. Michael Aidegono, the man who has served from President Shagari to Jonathan. They describe him as a pauper in the State House. So you can see that those who take into criminalities because of poverty, pass through stress. Well, we didn't take into criminality. For this gentleman, Onu, the taxi driver, and something, Corporal Dauda, we appreciate you, Kindu. The Minister of FCT, are you here? Yes. Give one flash to...
The Ekiti State Police Command has arrested 19 persons over the murder of a former Ekiti State Chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Omolafe Aderiye. CoreTV News learnt that 19 persons, including 1 female, were arrested in a string operation carried out over the weekend. The state's Police Public Relations Officer Victor Babayemi, who confirmed the arrest to journalists in Ado-Ekiti on Monday, did not reveal the identity of those arrested. He said they remained innocent until investigation proved otherwise. Aderiye, a staunch supporter of the governor-elect, Ayo Fayose, was killed on Thursday in Ijibwe area of the state capital, Ado-Ekiti. His death sparked violence across the state on Friday, leading to the burning of the house and cars of a former state chairman of Road Transport Employees Association of Nigeria, Rotimi Olabimuwonu. Meanwhile, the week-long crisis that rocked the Ekiti state capital last week appears to be subsiding. The unrest, which claimed the life of a former NURTW boss, Omolafia Deriye, led to violence that paralyzed all activities and forced the Ekiti state government to declare dusk to dawn curfew. Our correspondent Rashid, who went around town on Monday, reports that though normalcy has returned to the state, some people are still fear-struck. His report.
Not minding this full-blown commercial activities, the dusk to dawn curfew imposed by the state government as a measure to checkmate further violence remains in place, at least for now. The deep scare left by the mayhem which followed the killing of the ex-National Union of Road Transport Workers boss, Omolafia Deriye, among them, the closure of all courts except the Federal High Court and Court of Appeal may have started to take its toll as all cases under their jurisdictions will suffer similar fate. The normalcy and calm that have returned saw the people of the city of Ado-Ekiti going about their normal businesses. Transport operators who were worst hit by the killing of Deriye are also back to business at the motor parks. Police in the state have also issued a red alert on what they termed plans by some elements to foment trouble. Some residents explained their harrowing experiences during the crisis period and their hope for a long-lasting peace.
3 days ago, we came across different kind of things in Ekiti State. People are running up and down for their life concerning the situation of things around in Ekiti State. But presently, we thank God, things are coming to what we are expecting.
I thank God for the situations now. The peace is now restored back to our dear state. I like the step that the executive governor takes. You know, in these steps, we discovered that this man is a peace lover. So for this reason, the curfew that is declared, I love it. I advise all citizens to allow peace to reign, either in your community, either in your local government, or wherever you find yourself. Let us allow peace.
Obviously, the hope for permanent peace is what is on the minds of all well-meaning Ekiti residents. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
The president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Ayo Jafar, on Monday said he knew nothing about the controversial $9.3 million smuggled into South Africa by 2 Nigerians and an Israeli using his private jet. Jafar broke his silence during the National Executive Council meeting of CAN at the National Christian Center, Abuja. The CAN leader regretted that there had been attempts in the media to link him with the incident by mischievous elements, adding that he had kept quiet all the while, but he needed to explain his position to the church, which is his primary constituency. Jafar, in his address, declared that he was never a party to the movement of the $9.3 million from Nigeria to South Africa to purchase arms and ammunition. He admitted that the Bombardier Challenger 601 aircraft in question belongs to him, but was presented as a gift by members of his congregation and ministry partners worldwide at the 40th anniversary of his call into the ministry. The independence of the judiciary in theory and practice has again been stated as very key to achieving genuine rule of law in the country. This was the submission of discussants at a symposium organized by the Osun State Judiciary to mark its legal year. Rashid filed in this report.
With the disruption of election tribunal proceedings in neighboring Ekiti State by suspected political thugs and the crisis in the appointment of a new chief judge for Rivers State, the topic of discussion at the symposium could not have been more apt. with the theme Independence of Judiciary, the Nigerian Experience. The symposium discussed the challenges plaguing the Nigerian judicial system. The guest lecturer, Olayiwola Oladele, a professor of law, bemoaned the dependence of the nation's judiciary on the executive arm of government for funding and implementation of court judgments. He called for financial autonomy and independent security agency for the judiciary, particularly in the wake of recent attacks on judges and lawyers in Ekiti State.
Boils down to the same thing that I said before. Enforcement is weak, protection of judges weak also, because they have to depend on the executive. So that's why you saw the aberration in Ekiti. The temple of justice should not be desecrated for any reason whatsoever. And when you see that happening, you wonder, where do we go from here? Here is a very important branch of government upon which all of us depend. And the judiciary is the hope of the common man.
The Osun State Chief Judge could not but agree with the guest lecturer in stressing the need for total independence of the judiciary.
The judiciary of Nigeria today, following several positive interpretation of those sections of the law and other provisions in material with it, the nation's judiciary has been acting goals. We have gone on one line of industrial action, policy of judiciary sub-union of Nigeria.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. As far as the state is concerned, there is no single case. There is no single case where there was an interference with the job of the judiciary or the courts. We don't interfere with them at all. The governor always tells us to keep our distance from the workings of the judges. So we don't interfere with them at all. They do their job free of any interference from the executive.
The symposium was part of the activities marking the 2014 legal year of the Osun State Judiciary. Rashid, CoreTV News.
Governor Babatunde Fashola of Lagos State said the government would follow due process in the investigation of the September 12 building collapse at the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Ikotun area of the state. Fashola made the statement while receiving members of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners in Ikeja. He said the government would not yield to pressure from some Nigerians who want immediate action in the incident but would act methodically on the issue. Fashola said most of the pronouncements made on the incident did not reflect what actually happened and called on people to stop making comments that would confuse the situation. He described NITP as the state's partner in progress and said his administration would continue to work with the association in ending the menace of building collapse in the state. Abuja schools are taking more preventive measures against Ebola. Find out more on these and others right after this break. Don't go away.
This needs precision. Yes! Got to get her home before her curfew. My dad! Uh-oh, got to get her home fast. If we cut across 3 streets in 3 minutes and speed across the market in 2, should make it to the... Uh-oh.
Can we make it?
If we take the stairs at 30 seconds per flight, we just might... Yes! Made it in time. Mission accomplished. Get everyday energy fast with Lucozade Boost.
Nivea Nourishing Body Lotion. Its effective formula with Hydro IQ gives your skin deep and long-lasting nourishment for skin that stays moisturized all day long. Look great, feel great, with deeply nourished skin. Nourishing Body Lotion from Nivea.
Thank you for being there. 1 week after schools resumed in the Nigerian capital, administrators are still conducting regular checks on students in the aftermath of the Ebola outbreak. They've also restricted playground activities, even though Nigeria is free of the disease for the 2nd week running. A visit to many of the schools showed how serious teachers and students are taking the task of preventing a new outbreak.
This is one of the many schools in the Nigerian capital, which threw their gates opened on September 22 for the new academic session. Walking into the premises, one is greeted by security personnel with a handheld infrared thermometer. The next step is to either use water to wash the hands or make use of the sanitizer. The school principal told CoreTV News that other measures are in place, especially as the pupil ratio increases.
During the clubs and society time, all the children were grouped together, according to their age group, and they were being trained on how to make use of the sanitizer, how to make use of the wash hand basin and soap, even at their various homes. Then how to reduce having body contact with another person, either infected or not.
One of the steps taken here is to restrict playground activities for the time being, but pupils can still interact with contact as little as possible. And among the students, a number of them appear to have a fair knowledge of the disease, but some others see it as a playful opportunity.
You don't need to be so scared about this Ebola, because the Ebola is curing small, little by little. What else I know about Ebola is because it is a very heavy sickness that you can easily die about that. It can kill people easily. But all I know that the thing is God has protected us from this Ebola.
Ebola disease is derived from Boko Haram. It was derived from Boko Haram.
This girl is scared of what she's heard about Ebola, but appreciates efforts made by their school.
I thought that I could catch Ebola in the school.
Has that happened?
No.
Okay, when you come to school every morning, what do you do at the gate?
I sanitize my hand.
With many more schools expected to resume on October 6 across the country, it is increasingly clear that school administrators are heeding government's directive on measures to safeguard the health of pupils and staff.
Nigeria on Monday joined the rest of the world to mark the World Rabies Day. Government officials held a public rally to sensitize Abuja residents on a disease that has killed between 50,000 and 70,000 people yearly across the world. Permanent Secretary in the Health Ministry, Linus Awute, says 44% of rabies victims are from Africa and Asia.
With unity and with that sense of patriotism, we have been able to contain Ebola. But the truth must be said that it is not only Ebola that threatens the foundation of our national health system. It is very, very clear that it is not only Ebola disease that threatens our national health system. Containing Ebola would therefore not mean that we will rest on our oars. We have to put the realization into existence that there are still other zoonotic diseases. And today, we are being reminded through global directive to observe this day as World Rabies Day.
At this point, we'll take another break and would return with business news. Stay with us.
Nivea Nourishing Body Lotion. Its effective formula with Hydra IQ gives your skin deep and long-lasting nourishment for skin that stays moisturized all day long. Look great, feel great with deeply nourished skin. Nourishing Body Lotion from Nivea.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Welcome to Business News with me, Sabena Izuku. The federal government has rebuffed to the bank industry by bringing up struggling power companies with an intervention fund. The 213 billion naira, that's about $1.3 billion fund announced by President Goodluck Jonathan on September 19th, will be used to pay off gas supplies debts owed by power companies to cover revenues shortfalls. This was meant to bring in investment needed to expand electricity supply, with demand more than 3 times the current output of about 3,800 megawatts. Companies include Transnational Corporation of Nigerian PLC, Korea Electric Power Corporation, and 40 Oil PLC paid more than $3 billion for controlling interest in 15 power generators and distributors. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and the Petroleum Minister, Desiani Alison Madueke, had said the government was putting together new regulations to protect lenders, electricity consumers, and other utilities in the event that the power companies fail. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, says it will review the insurance coverage it provides for primary mortgage banks to ensure effective operations of the sector. The NDIC Managing Director Umaru Ibrahim made a disclosure at the opening of a 2-day workshop for primary mortgage banks on Monday in Abuja. According to him, the corporation is also reviewing the basis of premium of the primary mortgage banks in the country. He says the corporation would also introduce risk-based premium assessing system instead of using flat-rate system, adding that the supervisory authorities were concerned about buildable taxed assets, with Microfinance Bank, which stood at about 45.7% as of December 2013, against the prescribed maximum of 5%. According to Umaru, the attention focuses on both the Microfinance Bank and the primary mortgage banks, subsectors, so as to address the emerging challenges, as this can only be successful if the operators embraces good corporate governance and sound risk management practices. The World Bank says about 90% of businesses in Nigeria are small-scale businesses that contribute to about 10% of the economy. It, however, insists that the business environment is improving in many states of the Federation. This was made known at the presentation of a World Bank report titled Doing Business in Nigeria 2014. The report also identified areas requiring reform if the business environment in Nigeria is to improve.
Local representation, and as you saw, for example, in the case of Ogun, this is a very interesting element. Before, when you go to register, they want to go and visit the physical location to see whether the enterprise exists or not. Now they use basically, an evidence that, for example, an invoice, an electricity invoice that with your name that confirms that you are there. So I think that I'm quite encouraged by that. I think that what has been proposed by the Federal Ministry is to see how to establish a platform where states can learn from each other.
We remain resolute in our goal to create a conducive environment for entrepreneurs to thrive and to attract further investment into the country. This year's Subnational Doing Business Report reveals a few interesting trends. It shows that across board in Nigeria, many Nigerian states are increasingly applying best practices in their operations. For instance, 22 states have improved in at least one of the 4 areas measured under this year's survey. It shows that many states have focused from reform on reducing the complexity and cost of regulatory processes, and several other states have focused on judicial reforms to strengthen the legal institutions.
Report says that the federal government is set to implement tax waivers and incentives approved by President Goodluck Jonathan in 2012 to boost capital market activities. Jonathan had, through the Coordinating Minister for Economy and Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, announced forbearance for some stockbroking firms and abolished stamp duties and VAT payments on secondary market transactions as part of efforts to revive the Nigerian capital market. While forbearance for stockbrokers was implemented last year, the payment of stamp duties and VATs on secondary market transactions continues. According to Aruma Ote, the process of implementation involves the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Justice, and Federal Inland Revenue Services, adding that the number of agencies involved was also an issue. Meanwhile, the new president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Aigboje Mokwede, reiterated that very soon stamp duties and VAT would no longer be paid on transactions in the secondary segment of the capital market. A decision which was taken and approved by the president is yet to be implemented. On Forex market, the Naira was stable against the dollar on Monday after the Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention. The Naira eased to around 164.15 kobo by midday trade, prompting the Central Bank of Nigeria to intervene with an undisclosed amount of dollars sold directly on the interbank market. The Naira closed at 163 Naira 90 kobo on Friday compared to 163 Naira 70 kobo on Monday. The currency has been falling for the past 3 weeks due to the decline in oil prices in the global market and low offshores inflows into Nigeria's debt and equity market. The Central Bank of Nigeria raised the amount of dollars it offered to sell at $500 million, up from $350 million it offered in the past quarter at the foreign exchange auction today. And on the stock market report, equity transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The All Shares Index appreciated by 0.70% to close at 41,105.38 basis points, and the year-to-date is currently at minus 0.54%. Market capitalization increased and closes at 13.57 trillion naira. In all, a total of 274 million shares valued at 4.7 billion naira were exchanged in 4,567 deals. Report shows the Nestle PLC topped the gainers chart, followed by Guinness, Dangote Cement, Nigerian Brewers, and 40 Oil. On the other hand, Mobil Oil topped the losers chart, followed by Unilever, Ashaka Cement, GlaxoSmithKline, and Up Credit. Meanwhile, here are the top 5 trades. And that's it on business news. Coming up next is sport news with Brownson Owana. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Our style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball storming, no, he takes Puyol with a flying lead.
Go, taking them out in the lead.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
taking them out in the lead and really...
Thanks for joining us on Sport News tonight. I am Brownson Uwana. Super Eagles coach Edwin Okun on Monday named 6 foreign professionals and 15 home-based players for the African Women Championship. The AWC is slated for between October 11 and 25 in Namibia. French-based Desire Okpara topped the list of foreign-based players, who also include Perpetua Nkwocha, Onome Ebi, Esther Sunday, and Francis Odega. Nigeria is drawn in Group A alongside giant killers Cote d'Ivoire, who eliminated champions Equatorial Guinea, Zambia, and host Namibia. And now, Paris Saint-Germain striker Zlatan Ibrahimovic is unfit to face former clubs FC Barcelona. The 32-year-old Sweden captain has missed the French champions' last 2 Ligue 1 matches with a heel injury. PSG draw their Group F opener against Ajax, while Barcelona edged to a 1-0 win against Apoel Nicosia. The French team are unbeaten in 9 matches across all competitions this season, but 6 of those results have been draws. And now to some fixtures in the UEFA Champions League. On Tuesday, CSKA Moscow will take on FC Bayern Munich. FC Schalke 04 will take on NK Maribor. Paris Saint-Germain will host FC Barcelona. Shakhtar Donetsk will take on FC Porto, while Sporting Lisbon will play Chelsea. Bate will take on Atletico Madrid, while Manchester City will welcome Roma. Apoel Nicosia will take on Ajax in the other fixtures of the UEFA Champions League. And now to some story in the EPL. Arsenal midfielder Aaron Ramsey is said to be out for 6 weeks with an hamstring injury. The Gunners midfielder Talisman was diagnosed on Monday with a grade 2 hamstring strain sustained in a side 1-0 draw against Tottenham on Saturday. The Walesman will be joined on the sideline by Mikel Arteta, who will miss 2 of 3 weeks with a grade 1 calf strain. The absence of Ramsey until November and Arteta until after the October international break is a huge blow for Arsenal ahead of fixture this week against Galatasaray on Wednesday and Chelsea on Saturday. Finally, on sport news tonight, in the world of tennis, US Open champion Marin Cilic and Serena Williams kicked off their China Open campaign with straight set victories against battling underdogs on Monday, but Rafael Nadal suffered a defeat in a red double outing in his return to injury. World number one Serena Williams saved 4 set points in a brilliant fight back before taking the match 7-5, 6-2 to set up a second round clash with another qualifier, Bulgarian Slavinka Pirokova. Also returning after a long absence was 14-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal, who had been sidelined for over 3 months with a wrist injury. The world number two, who teamed up with compatriot Pablo Arjan, is the men's double, but they lost 5-7, 6-2, 10-4 to Czech Tomáš Bedić and American Joe Isner in the first match since losing in the 16th round of Wimbledon. And that's a wrap on Sport News tonight. My name is Brownson Uwana. Very big thanks for watching.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
And to other stories outside Nigeria, in what is seen as the deadliest post-truce clash, 7 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed in a clash with pro-Russian rebels near Donetsk airport. An official of the Ukrainian government says the troops were killed when a vehicle carrying them was hit by a tank shell, while 3 civilians died in other incidents. Ukrainian nationalist activists had earlier toppled the state statue of Soviet Communist leader Lenin in the eastern city of Kharkiv after a rally tagged Kharkiv is Ukraine, a move seen by pro-Russians as provocative. The order for the dismantling of the statue, which was signed by the governor of the region, Hio Baluta, was described by the mayor of Kharkiv, Gennady Kenes, as illegal on a local government website, adding that it will be restored. Pro-Russian demonstrators had earlier defended the statue in February when similar monuments were being taken down in other parts of the country in a wave of protests that accompanied the removal of former President Viktor Yanukovych. According to Andrei Lysenko, the soldiers were killed in an armored transporter near the airport, which the rebels have been trying to recapture from the Ukrainian military. Pro-democracy protesters have taken over most of Hong Kong, shutting down businesses and ignoring appeals to leave. The demonstrations, which has since spread from its initial point of territory's main university to other areas, including a shopping district and a residential area, has been described as illegal by Beijing, which has urged other countries not to support it. The Chinese Foreign Ministry, while commenting on the matter, says it opposes any move by any country to interfere with China's internal affairs, while the British government has called for the rights of people to protest to be respected. The protesters, who are a mix of students and supporters of the Occupy Central pro-democracy movement, are against Beijing's plan to vet candidates for Hong Kong's 2017 leadership elections. They want a free choice of candidates when they cast their ballot, something Beijing says is out of the question. Assistant Police Commissioner of the territory, Jung Tan Kyung, while speaking on the protests, says the police has used the bare minimum force with 41 people injured over the past 3 days, including police officers. The protesters still remained camped near police barricades and government buildings, while also building their own barricades. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News for tonight. On behalf of the production crew, I am Ebulomo Adekunle. Have a pleasant night rest.